Warland Dorr walked across the rain-slicked tiles of Caldera Street Plaza. The rain didn't seem to touch him. He sensed his steps were being observed, documented into the story. He allowed it, this one time for this one reason, to be passed on by his unwilling disciple to read at the right time.
Mr. Dorr is certainly a mysterious figure, a man behind the curtain casting his influence like ripples in a pond. But these machinations go back further than his unwilling disciple is aware. Tim Breaker, the current sheriff of Bright Falls, believes it began when the reoccurring dreams of Dorr began, but this is far from the truth. At that time, he reached out to his cousin Sarah, who was the sheriff at the time. The presence of Dorr in Bright Falls history is what led him to the quaint little town. After her departure to work with the feds, he stepped into her old position. What we know about his story from there comes down to a few data points. Believer in UFOs and the supernatural. When he attempted to hand a specific manuscript page to Saga at the start of her investigation, Mr. Dorr removed him from reality and threw him into the dark place. There he was positioned to give her this page at the right time. His investigation into Dorr continued in the meantime. That's it. But the comment about Tim being an unwilling disciple may be confusing. At no point in the story was their relationship anything other than a man being used to pass along a message. That is, for this incarnation of the characters. But there are others that met before, in another life, in another world, in a place where waves are both wilder and more serene. 7 years before the start of Alan Wake 2, their paths crossed in Riverport, Massachusetts. It happened on another branch of the Yggdrasil, the universe of Quantum Break. In that world, Tim Breaker goes by the name of Jack Joyce. Warland Dorr is known as Martin Hatch. In that world, the nature of their relationship is better defined. In fact, the game ends on a junction point for whether or not Jack chooses to work for Hatch or go his own path. We never get the chance to see what he chooses, and in the context of that universe, it really doesn't matter. But in the grand scheme, it appears that their paths diverged, at least for now. That is, if we use the antagonism between Tim and Dorr as an indicator. The relationship comes off like a second employer who got told no by a talented prospect, tracking him down because he will not take no for an answer, making Tim literally an unwilling apprentice. That being said, it appears that Tim has not yet been presented with the same choice Jack received. When the time comes, what will he choose? It's entirely possible that the future of this narrative thread evolves into something greater. That is, if the Timebreaker DLC is to be taken as a roadmap. However, the most important and revealing data point in this mystery is yet another note that was left to be read at the right time. Not the manuscript left for Tim, but an untitled note left for Jack. While breaking into Monarch headquarters, the note can be found in the room before Paul's office. Keep in mind everything we know about shifters, multiversal variants, and these characters. If anyone needs a refresher, I'll leave a link to my shifter video in the description below. While I read, I want everyone to listen to it in both Dorr's and Hatch's voice. The note being addressed to both Jack and Tim simultaneously. I have left this message here for you to find, so that soon, when the time comes and I ask you to choose, you can do so with your eyes open and with some hint of understanding. I have no secrets, and the only things I choose to omit are the ones that you, in your current limited state, would not be able to grasp no matter how hard I tried to make you understand. I have walked down the same path you are on now. Once, from your perspective, a long time ago, although time no longer has meaning to me, I too came in contact with a time machine. In my case, it was not a man-made device, but a natural one, in a cave. It should come as no surprise, really, that such things exist. Much like natural nuclear reactors do exist, such as the now defunct ones in Oklo, Africa. After all, the Meyer-Joyce field has its irregularities. I too became Chronon active, I too developed Chronon Syndrome, and in time, I too lost control and became a shifter. Became at once everything and nothing. Was everywhere and nowhere. Died countless times and was still alive. My every probability, every possibility happening at once. I promised I would not lie, and thus I tell you, the noise and the pain and the rage were more than anyone could suffer and not go insane. I burned in this fire a long time. There were brief moments of awareness in this endless nightmare, different versions of certain key moments in my life that I found myself reliving again and again, trying to make things right, like a puzzle, on and on and on. I am convinced that the stutters and the end of time saved me, for those were the only places, the only times where I could even briefly stop and rest, slowly finding focus and control again, and ultimately master this state. Not emerge from it, not be cured, not to go back to what I was before, for there is no such thing, but to learn to be in one place and everywhere at once. My perception is altered, like that of someone who has seen a perceptual illusion and discovered that the picture is both a young girl and an old woman at the same time. Once you see them both, you can never not see them. We are such limited beings. We play with just one piece, on just one square of an endless chessboard. Just one life, one timeline, in an infinite multiverse of possibilities. Am I an exception? The only one who has found his way to the other side? Or is this just a shifter's brief dream before a stutter collapses? There are other shifters. You, your best friend who is now your mortal enemy, Dr. Kim. Others, some of whom you know. It doesn't matter who, because they are gone, and when they emerge, if they ever emerge, they will not be who they were, just as I am not who I was before. I have done my part in helping you all achieve this state. If time is an ocean with a frozen surface, then stutters at the end of time are holes in that ice, opportunities to come up for air. I have a plan. It's already in motion. But it would be futile to try to explain it to you, like trying to explain 3 dimensions to someone who can only see 1. But make no mistake, I do not look down on you. I strive for humility, even as I shift this world from one state to another. I will make this possible. I stand in between. I don't see myself as a gate. I remain humble. I'm something smaller, a hatch. If Jack's experience in Riverport is the prequel game to the new Timebreaker video game, then it is also the prequel to Tim Breaker's experience, depending on how you look at it. Tim expresses that he dreams himself as different people in different worlds, but are these simply universes created by his dreams, or are they more akin to Dylan Faden's visions, witnessing events occurring in other places, times, and worlds, experiencing his life through the eyes of one of his variants? In this case, Tim being aware of the others is necessary. Doors surely is aware of his other lives as well. If we accept this, then what occurred with Jack and Hatch are relevant to current events. What occurred in Quantum Break should not be discounted. While that story focused on a multiverse formed by the butterfly effect, creating infinite variations, the current context has less to do with alternate versions of the same universe, but entirely different worlds formed by imagination. Either way, the same premise applies. The important part of the note that I want to focus on is the mention of other shifters. Hatch mentions others that are now shifters. By name he refers to himself, Jack/Tim, Paul Serene, and Dr. Henry Kim. He mentions others as well. While we can almost guarantee one of them is Beth Wilder, considering she was at Ground Zero and exposed to a chronon explosion like the others, we don't know who else he is referring to. Are these the family of doors that he mentioned? Not a literal family by blood, but one of shared circumstances. some of which have not yet been activated, so to speak. Hatch mentions that he helped all of them achieve this state, meaning that this relationship extends past Tim or Jack, meaning there are other stories at some point of him interacting in a version of their lives. Is Jack/Tim simply the latest in a series of people Door/Hatch helped to awaken? Once before, we get the idea that there are a group of shifters that Dr. Kim and Hatch knew.
I've come to free you, my friend. This imprisonment, it's unsettling. It's time for you to rejoin the others, to return to the infinite.
This turn of phrase could possibly lead to a connection to a few things in the RCU, the other being a physical plane, but also referring to the record in the Jukebox OOP, the tune called A Song for the Others. Whether any of this is connected or not is up in the air. It could simply be a coincidence. But Tim Breaker will likely find his story come to the same divergent path as Jack's did, on the precipice of learning more about what he is, offered the path to walk away from answers or become that disciple of Warlin Door, willingly this time. The end of Quantum Break left Jack's choice up in the air. I wonder if we will get to see what Tim's choice is when that inevitable time comes. It appears that the door has been left open to him, but it is his decision whether or not to walk through it.
Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please drop a like and subscribe to receive updates on future uploads. If you would like to help support the channel, a Patreon has been set up and the link is in the description below. Have a great day and peace be with you all.